Approaching the halfway point on the SportsMax Zone for this Wednesday, changing lanes to track and field, and the 19th edition of the IAAF World Championship to be held in Budapest, Hungary, is a little over a month away. And as per usual, Jamaica is buzzing with excitement over what their athletes can produce at the event. But first, the competitors, which will be representing Jamaica, have to be confirmed. And for that, the nation's senior and junior trials taking place starting Thursday at the National Stadium in Kingston. Joining us in the studio, our track and field analyst, Leighton Levy. Leighton, we have to start with what has become the pride of Jamaican track and field, women's sprinting. How competitive do you see the 100 metres, specifically being during these trials, even though the double Olympic champion, Elaine Thompson here, is having some setbacks, and we still haven't seen Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce? It's
going to be extremely competitive, and not in the same way it has been in previous years. I mean, in the past, like last 2, 3, 4 iterations of the championships, it was Elaine and Shelly. Then it became Elaine, Shelly, and Sharika. This year, Shelly is a defending champion, like she has been for the past two championships. She won't be running the 100. She's running the 200 because that, having not competed all year, a little bit of over distance work, test where speed endurance is, of course, critical for the 100 meters. But in the women's 100 final.
But she has a wild card for the 100 anyway as defending champion. Yeah, so she doesn't have to compete in the 100.
She doesn't need to run at all.
Yes. In the 100.
Yeah, in the 100. So what it is, in the women's sprints, we're looking at in the 100, Shericka Jackson, barring anything completely insane, she's going to win that. So now it comes down to second and third and fourth, because then there are two other places to be settled. Because Jamaica has the opportunity to have 4 competitors in the 100 meters because Shelly is defending champion. But when you look beyond Shericka Jackson, there are a number of women who could make their way onto that team. We're looking at that list on the screen. Now you're looking at Kevona Davis, who's run really well this year. When I spoke to her coach, Elvic Florial, just a few weeks ago, he said specifically that she's going to be competitive at these championships. He said that previously when she showed up at the championships since she joined the University of Texas, was that she came and she participated. This year she's going to be competitive, which is a big step forward for her. Then you have Alana Reid, who's run 10:92 at champs this year, new championship record. But my concern about her is that she looks a little jaded in the weeks following champs, because she's run a number of meets.
Champs and Carifta.
Yeah, and Carifta. And at the meet in California a few weeks ago, she genuinely looked tired. I don't know how much energy she will have coming into these championships, where she's going to have to run fast in every round. And then you have Brianna Williams, who I think has an excellent opportunity of getting onto the team as an individual this year, primarily because now she's getting better at racing in traffic. That's been her biggest downfall. We saw that last year at the championships, where she led the race up to 75 meters and then just blew up. And Kemba Nelson snuck in and took that other slot. But we saw at the National Stadium 11:04, and then back in California 11:04 again, behind Aliyah Hobbs. So, and of course the Clayton twins. We are hearing that Tina Clayton is ready to run fast. If Stephen Francis said so, I believe. So, 10:95, probably she's ready to go faster.
He also suggests that Tia may surprise some people as well.
So, if he's saying those things, you cannot overlook them. And of course, you have Kemba Nelson. The field is stacked. So it's who is going to come and produce that on the day that's going to end up on the team. And there's many people who are going to be sitting on the sideline wishing that done better on Friday night.
How concerned are you about Elaine, though? Because we look at the youngsters that are coming up. We have a few doubts about how Alana has looked in the last few weeks, and she may be jaded, but are you concerned about where Elaine may end up at the end of it all?
Very much so. Look, I, for one, would love to see Elaine produce something extraordinary. For this season, extraordinary would be 10.9s or 10.8s, because she said it after she ran last weekend, where she ran 11:24 in her season opener in the 100 meters, that she's been battling injury, she's been battling a multiplicity of injuries, and also her state of mind, where she said she almost quit. So it's not just the physical for her, it's mental and physical in coming into these championships, battling a bunch of young women who are hungry for that third spot. So can she get down from 11:24 to under 11 seconds in 2 weeks? I have not seen it done before, but if anybody can do it, it probably would be Elaine Thompson here. But the thing is that you still have to see it to believe it, because based on what we saw from her early in the year when she stopped, and before she stopped running for about 3 months, and then coming in, the separation that Elaine usually gets in 100 meters against what I consider an average field, leaves a lot to be desired. So can she come to these championships after over the last 2 weeks and come and produce something spectacular? I'm not sure.
Who are the top 3 for you, though?
Wow, that's a tough one. I know. I'm gonna. Sherika, we already established that Sherika is gonna win. In my mind, the other 2 places are gonna go to either. If Alana Reid can come in fresh, I think she'll be there, and I think probably Sasha Lee Forbes and or Brianna Williams, because Sasha Lee Forbes is having a great season per PB 1098. She is the 3rd fastest Jamaican woman in the world in the world this year, after fastest Jamaican woman period. So the reality is that if she comes to her A game and she produces a sub-11 time, she could find herself on the team as an individual competitor.
Let's look at the men's side now as we take a look at the leading contenders for the women. But just to switch to the men, of course, we heard news today that Johan Blake has signed with Puma, which I found a little bit interesting, because it means that there is some confidence behind him going far this season. What are your thoughts on Johan Blake against these youngsters here, the likes of Akeem Blake and Oblique Seville?
All right, so Blake is the 5th fastest Jamaican this year at 10:05, right? Julian Ford 10:03, Nkrumah 9:99, Seville 9:95, and of course Akeem Blake 9:89. The thing is that what Johan Blake has over all of these guys is experience, right? We've seen him over the past few weeks. Each time he runs a little bit faster, which suggests that he's going to come to these championships and perhaps produce his season best times like he did last year when he ran 9:85. A lot of people were upset with his performance at Worlds, but the heel inflammation he had no control over, so he had to limp his way through the competition. The chances are of Blake running a similar time at these championships, absolutely, and I wouldn't put it past him. So I have him in my top 3 because I think he has the know-how, he has the confidence, and he has that ability to bring it when he needs it most, especially at this level. But based on what I'm hearing about Oblique Seville, it's going to be hard to beat him. And of course, Akeem Blake has been running really well all season, so I expect those are my top 3. Not to rule out people like Julian Fort and or DeAndre Daly, however, because they've been running consistently well throughout the course of the season. And if Julian Fort is healthy, chances are he will do something great.
That's always been his issue, though, right?
Yeah, the thing is that I noticed that, but some of the information that I got is that he's managed now to control the shin issues that he's had. He got one of prosthetics implanted in his spikes, in his running shoes, to be able to take the stress off his shin. So maybe he's going to come in here healthy and be able to run really well. And so I'm looking for, it's going to be a bang-up finish. I think not since 2008, I think, that we're going to have many guys contending for those 3 places. Of course, I think Oblique Seville and Akeem Blake are a step ahead of everybody. But for that 3rd spot, it's going to be a war, and I think it's going to be worth going miles to see.
Boaz Nkrumah, of course, he clocked 9.99 seconds earlier this year, and he picked up an injury afterwards.
At Carifta.
Yeah, you're wondering if he has recovered sufficiently, not in terms of coming back into training, but for competition. You think he's ready?
It's hard to say. Ran 10:42 last time, or a couple of weeks ago at National Stadium. Didn't look particularly sharp, but then when you're recovering from a long-term hamstring injury, that's to be expected. The thing is, we know what Glenn Mills does. He's done it with Bolt, Blake, Warren Weir, the like. So maybe last week was just a test run to see where he was. Yeah. And then now he's ready to do the real thing here come Friday night. So I'm hoping that he'll be able to produce his best, because if he does, it means that Jamaica has a stronger team going into the World Championships. But if not, he still has the Olympics next year and the World Championships in Tokyo in 2025, because he's still young and he's just about to go professional. So I don't think there's any great rush for Nkrumah to make the team this year, even though I think he would love to.
Is Oblique Seville ready for his A game though? Because he did miss the Racers Grand Prix, didn't he, with an injury? I didn't get the impression that it was a serious injury, but it was serious enough for him to miss the meet. And that was, just 3-4 weeks ago. How is he now?
What we're hearing is that he is in great shape. What we are hearing is that he was supposed to run another meet a couple of weeks ago, one of the local meets. The Road to Budapest, I think they're calling them now. And when Mills saw him in training, he said, I tell you what, we're just going to shut it down until trials because we need to unleash the beast.
Another beast, sorry.
Yeah, another beast. So, all of the information that I'm getting, and of course, only Glenn Mills and Oblique Seville know the truth to this. But what we're hearing is that he's in really great shape, and based on what I'm hearing, I'm expecting something 9.8. His personal best is 9.86. Something faster than that, maybe 9.7, because what I was told was that he was ahead of Zarnell Hughes. We just saw Zarnell Hughes run 9.83 in a Diamond League meet a couple of weeks ago. So if he's in better shape or better than Zarnell Hughes, who knows what he's going to bring at National Stadium on Friday night. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings. And when I spoke to him earlier this season, he said he was really confident. One of his objectives this year was to run a new personal best. And there is nothing to indicate that otherwise that he's not ready to do that, So it's going to be fireworks, I believe, because even if you take Blake and Seville and the two Blakes and Seville out of it, then you're looking at Fort and DeAndre Daly, what's his name? Jesus, his name slips right now. But there are a number of youngsters who are knocking at the door.
You said Daly?
Yeah, DeAndre Daly. Michael Stevens, for example, who had that horrible accident 6 years ago, and last meet ran 10.08. Looking comfortable. It's not like he was battling himself to run that 10.08. So who knows? Under Stephen Francis, to me, he's the best sprint coach, but best track coach in the world. If he can get him back to that level, and was it like a month ago, he could come and do something spectacular as well, because he's a talented sprinter. Had it not been for that accident on Hope Road that killed his friend Jordan Scott a few years ago, he probably would have been in the mix on a global level right now.
From before now.
Yeah.
The biggest no-show at these trials, of course, Omar McLeod, in the 110-meter high hurdles. What have you heard?
Well, all I was told officially was that he had a setback. There were no details offered as to what that setback is. We don't know if it's physical, we don't know if it's mental or anything. We just heard that he had a setback, so he decided to withdraw from the championships. But given what has happened to him in the last two major championships, you kind of understand. I mean, finishing 8th at the championships the year before last, and then throwing Jamaica under the bus, and then coming back last year, hitting a hurdle early in the race, and then finishing down the track again. The national championships in previous years have not been kind to him. So if he's not feeling 100%, I really can't blame him for not wanting to come, because it doesn't hold very good memories for him. I mean, Omar McLeod has done everything that he could possibly do already. Olympic champion, world indoor champion.
I was just going to ask you if he feels that he doesn't have a lot to prove now, so he doesn't need to push.
I don't know. Sometimes when you win early, the motivation isn't there anymore. When you've won everything that you need to win. The only thing that has eluded him is the world record, which is 12.80. And nobody's, except for Holloway, nobody's really gotten close to it. The reality is that sometimes when you win too much too soon, you lose that hunger. And maybe, this is just pure speculation, or maybe that's one of the issues that's affecting Omar McLeod. Leaving
Omar McLeod quickly before we wrap this segment, the women's sprint hurdles looking pretty attractive as well.
Oh my God, that's one of the events. I'm only sorry that Brittany Anderson is not going to be there.
I'm sorry too.
Yeah, because it would have been ridiculous. Look, Akira Nugent has a mentality. We had a chat with her on Zoom a couple of weeks ago, last week actually, where when she was lined up against Alia Armstrong and Masai Russell, the two best other female hurdlers in the U.S. collegiate circuit, she said she told herself, these girls are not going to beat me. She's coming into the championships now against women who are not as fast as the two women since year. So she's coming in with the mentality that, listen, they're not going to beat me either. So guess what? I am picking her to be my favorite because I think when I spoke to Chris Johnson, he said that her program was designed for her to be at her best after NCAA is going into the World Championships. But when you look at the field, Danielle Williams has been running well, faster each race.
Yes.
Megan Tapper, you can't rule her out. When she comes to these championships, Megan Tapper finds a way to deliver. Yeah. You have Kerika Hill, the world under-20 champion, who I'm sure that Ronaldo Walcott has her ready to do spectacular things. And of course, Demisha Roswell, who beat Akira Nugent last year at the Big 12 Championships, right. 12:42. She tells me that it wasn't injury why she didn't perform as well this year. 12:77 was her season's best. But she came home from Texas Tech and she's been working on her technique. So who knows? If she runs 12:4 again on the weekend, she could be in the mix as well. So it's going to be, I'm excited. Look at the goosebumps. See? It's ridiculous. These are one of the championships, other than 2008 and 2009, that's going to be one of the best because it's, the talent spreads right across the spectrum. It's not just in the sprints alone.
Yeah. Okay, Leighton, the meet starts Thursday and goes through until Sunday, and the National Juniors will also be run as well as the National Senior Championship. We'll be monitoring what happens in Kingston, Jamaica, and those track and field nationals. We go to break. Back with more after this.